Hello and welcome to yet another broadcast at Home Care Business Advisors. So pleased to be with you today. And Yvette is not joining us today. I'm the one today who's here. Came to have some fun with Kevin here, and we're going to be chatting about financial management. So as we know, majority of the times, most people we get into business for different reasons. But one of the issues that always comes up is that you need to manage the money whether clients are coming or not, whether you're getting referrals or not, it's still very critical and crucial to manage money. So we're going to talk about financial management in your home care business. I'm joined today by Kevin, who is our guest for today, who runs an accounting firm and a financial management firm who help us to understand and, take us through some of the questions that you might have or that you might have. Kevin, welcome to the broadcast. Welcome to Home Care Business Advisors.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
That's great. Kevin, maybe before we go any further, can you give us, a bit of an idea of exactly what you do and with your business?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm a CPA, certified public accountant, licensed in Virginia. I own KL Accounting Solutions. It's an accounting firm that specializes in helping home care businesses, and I really focus on building a relationship with my clients, mainly through virtual CFO services and advanced tax reduction strategies. Um,
All right. And you spoke about Virginia. So does it mean you can only service clients based in Virginia?
so I can service clients anywhere in the United States.
Okay. All right. That's great. So why is it critical for someone who started a business or is running a business to have someone like you or a business like yours on their side? By that I mean to have an accountant or a CPA. Why is this critical?
Right. So I think the finance side of the business is complex, and it keeps getting more and more complex with the addition of the new laws and regulations that are coming out. Um, and uh, you need someone to track whether or not you're making money. Um, 82% of small businesses fail due to cash flow issues. So it's definitely critical to monitor cash and know where that cash is going. Um, and you definitely want to stay in compliant with the federal and state tax laws.
Yeah. And whilst we are still there, Kevin, we have some people when they start their businesses, they are a sole proprietor or it's not yet, a fully registered LLC. Maybe they start because they started by taking care of a parent or a loved one, and then they start to decide, okay, I think I should maybe get this into a registered business and all that. At what point does one needs to start worrying about, federal filings or within the state filings?
Yeah, that's a great question. From what I've seen, usually starting out, if the business is starting out, they usually try to maintain the books on their own. But as soon as they make that first dollar, the IRS is gonna want to tax it. So it's definitely important to have everything in order right from the start. Make sure you keep good receipts, and make sure you stay in compliance with those tax laws.
Yeah, which makes it difficult because for most businesses, especially if they're not yet making a huge turnover, every cent or every penny counts. So most people would not yet be in a position to part with anything to get, the service of an accountant to assist them.
Right, right. And that's I think that's where I see a lot of people, start off doing it by themselves, and once they start getting established, that's when, more and more money's coming in, and they just can't handle it by themselves. And I think their time's better focused on providing the care to the clients, and in that case, it's probably time to look for an accountant or a CPA.
Yeah, and whilst I whilst we're still there and wrapping that point up, in terms of say a pricing structure of how one would pay your fees or an accountant fees? Is it structured in a way that is dependent on how much transactions you deal with, or how many clients you have, or it's just a flat fee that whether you have 100 clients or you have 2 clients, really?
Right. Yeah, it definitely depends on the complexity. I'm a believer in value pricing, so I don't charge hourly. I don't want people worried about me charging them for every little phone call or question. But yeah, it's definitely based on complexity, um, and it's a fixed monthly fee. Um,
Okay, okay. And I believe if someone is referred from Home Care Business Advisors, they get a special discount, right?
right, right. We can.
So we have a commitment from Kevin that if you're coming from Home Care Business Advisors, you can get a discount, because this is an area that a lot of us, when starting businesses, are concerned about and struggle with. So it's always great to start from there. So you have spoken about, type of documentation that one needs to have already to start keeping your receipts, to start keeping, track of turnover. What else does one need to start have to right from the word go, that you need to start tracking and keeping track of, beside, before maybe you don't, maybe one doesn't have an accountant yet, or they have an accountant, but what is it that is very critical that you need to track that information?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. I would say there's a lot of businesses I see that don't have a budget. I think it's really important to create some sort of budget so you have some guidelines to measure your results against. Without that, you really don't know if you had a good month or bad month. You don't know the good things you did that you can build upon, or the maybe the things that didn't work would stick out if you were comparing your actual numbers to a budget, and you could work to fix those. But as far as receipts, you'd want to track your receipts, reconcile your bank accounts, make sure your cash balance is matching what you have in the bank accounts. And I think it's important to make sure you separate your personal and your business. Sometimes I see clients that are commingling their business, revenue and expenses in their personal bank account. I think it's definitely important to make sure those are separate.
Yeah, we actually are going to come back to that point, because I think that is a very critical point, and we've seen a number of people facing challenges with that. We're going to take just a short break, and when we get back, we are going to continue and start right from there, Kevin, in terms of the separation between your personal finances and the business finances. Your credit accounts and the business credit accounts, and so on and so forth. We'll be right back.
Do you want to promote your brand and presence in the market? Let us help you do it in style without compromising lives or finances. At Home Care Business Advisors, we don't only coach you and your team towards a successful working environment, but we are also diligently aligning ourselves with affordable services and products that are convenient for you and are an enhancement of your brand. Our online marketplace is your perfect choice, where you can ensure quality with your chosen promotional products, from pens to mugs and even professional gifts. So what are you waiting for? Head over and visit Home Care Business Advisors online marketplace to choose from a range of handy, stylish products to get you noticed in your market.
Right. So I would like to encourage you, for some of you who have had, concerns, some people do not see our broadcasts when they are coming up. We broadcast generally twice in a week, usually on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and usually at 6 p.m. EST. And what we would like to encourage you to do is head over to our YouTube channel, subscribe on the YouTube channel. It makes it easy, at least, to get notifications, and click on the notification button. You get notifications whenever we go live, and that helps you to make sure that you always keep tracking, the broadcast. I would also like to encourage you that you can put your questions through, and Kevin will engage with some of the questions as we go through. Kevin, let's go back to keeping your finances separate, because that is a critical point in terms of so a number of people, they're using the same card, and they're using the same bank account, especially at the beginning, because you don't have maybe clients, or you just only have one client, and most of the finances, you are actually financing the business from your own personal account. How does one try to do this separation? And should one just keep a ledger or an Excel spreadsheet where they enter what they've spent on the business and what they've spent on themselves, and later on, when the IRS maybe come after them, how do they have to prove that separation? Can you take us through that?
Right. I think that goes back to, making sure you keep those receipts. I would recommend, printing out, if you're using your personal and your personal bank account for your business, make sure you print out those bank statements and highlights anything on that bank statement that's business related. Then, like you said, track that in Excel spreadsheets. It's all about organization. If you have sound documents to back up that your claims, the IRS is going to be okay with it, but you need to have that documentation to back it up.
Yeah, that's great. And can see from some of from the comments, they will just tend to the comments for a moment, just to make sure that we are going through those. We can see, Yvette there mentioning that we encourage, our owners to separate personal from business. And we also see a question there. Can you explain, differences between state and federal taxes? And then, later on, can you, maybe in future broadcasts, can we talk about margins? Hi, Loretta Green, who was, greeting us, Shamisha Holmes, and Tonya Johnson, George Ayako. Hi to you all. And wow, this is great. We have a number of people that are following on the broadcast, and keep the questions coming in, and we'll engage them. Okay, so Kevin, the differences between the different taxes, federal taxes and state taxes.
Right. So the federal taxes, they're the same no matter what state you're in. Everyone's going to pay follow those same regulations no matter what state they're in. Then you have the state taxes. Each individual state has their own, tax laws and regulations on what counts as income, what is deductible. So it's definitely important to know the difference. Something might be, deductible as federal but not state, or something could be deductible in your state taxes that's not deductible in your federal taxes. So it's definitely important to know your individual state tax laws.
Yeah. And so what's the go-to place to find this information? Is it mainly with having an accountant within your state, or it's about you can just go online, one?
Yeah, I think the tax law is definitely a complex subject. If you're just starting out and you don't have much income or expenses, it's probably okay just to look it up on the IRS website for federal or your state. Your state should have a tax website. You could look up the answers, but as you continue to grow, I would definitely suggest reaching out to a CPA or somebody who provides tax preparation services for more guidance, because it does get very complex. And one thing that we do is, like I mentioned earlier, is building that relationship with you, so we can identify where you might have deductions available, whereas other CPA firms might not be able to. They're more worried about just getting your return done and moving on to the next one. We're really digging into your numbers and trying to find ways to save you money.
Wow, that's great. And if one has been running their business, but they haven't made any money, or they haven't made a profit, let's put it across that way, do they need to tell the IRS anything? if they haven't made any profit.
Right. If you're operating at a loss, you should still file. If you're if you're an LLC, single member LLC, you would file a Schedule C. You'd still want to report that loss because that could reduce other income you have on your federal taxes and state taxes, as well as if you're an S corp, you would want to do the same. You file your 1120S with a loss that's going to pass through to your individual 1040 return. Then even if you're a C corp, you'd also want to file and get credit for that loss, which could then carry forward to a future period and be able to offset some income when you do start making money.
Great. And I want us to hone in on that, okay? Because with Home Care Business Advisors, a lot of the businesses that we work with or that on our platform is still early businesses, early startups, and a lot of them are not yet making a profit. We want to talk about that fact that if you have made a loss, you can, when you tell the IRS and keep track of it, you can recover that money later. Can you just maybe explain that a little bit more, maybe just to break it down a little bit more, how it works, and is it the full loss that you can recover later, or it's a percentage of it, and how that process goes?
Right. Yeah. So if you have a loss in year one, you would report that in your taxes. You would have what's called a net operating loss. Let's just say year one, you lose $10,000. You have a net operating loss of $10,000 for year one. When you go to year two, let's say you make $10,000. That $10,000 net operating loss from year one would completely offset that $10,000 income you make in year two.
All right. Great.
So it's a complete offset.
It's a complete offset. Okay,
right.
That's great to hear. And that then needs to be properly documented as well. And this is where the issue of separating your personal finances and the finances of the business, and keeping track of them becomes very critical. As that happens. So what we are going to do is we want to answer a few more questions that are coming from the audience in the comment section. So we're going to just take a quick, very short break whilst we just order the questions that are there, and then we'll just focus into those questions as we come to the close of the broadcast. We'll be right back. Great, and thank you. We are now in the last segment as we finish off, where we are focusing mainly on the questions that have come in again, just to make sure, and if you have got any questions, quickly put them through so that Kevin can also look at them. So we'll go to a question from Andrea, where he's asking, if you have zero funds to report to workers' compensation, right? And finally, you get funds to report. What amounts do you report, and how do you calculate that? Is that an easy calculation we can go through here on the broadcast?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm actually not too sure what the answer would be for that one off the top of my head. I would have to do some digging in, but I'd be happy to get back to you on that one.
Okay, that's great. So as soon as you get that a response to that, you can write to us, and then we'll make sure that we will send that through. Another question was, how much should an owner set aside for end of year filings based on their income? So be it as a percentage, or a lot of people face a challenge whereby end of year arrives, they don't have any money to pay their taxes because all is gone. And I've heard so many times, especially if it's saying, right from your first client, always put some money aside to prepare for that. So the question is, how does one calculate that, and how much should they put aside?
Right. So for that, with federal taxes, I mean, there's different tax brackets. If you can kind of estimate what tax bracket you're going to fall in, you could use that as kind of a buffer on how much money to set aside. And also, that's where having a good CPA comes into play. They can do some advanced tax planning, get a more accurate number on how much you need to set aside. Maybe even come up with some strategies to reduce how much you'll owe. And then there's also, quarterly tax payments. If you're expecting a huge year and making a lot of money, you should pay some quarterly taxes on that to avoid penalties.
All right, that's great. Kevin, it's been a pleasure to have you on our broadcast, and having a conversation with you clarifying this. I hope that we have you back. Like some of the comments were saying that we need to go into detail of really
Right.
when you are managing finances, for your business. How do you do this? Would really love you to be our go-to guy with our team and all our members when they need some assistance with financial management in their businesses. Kevin, how do people get hold of you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I have a website you can visit. It's kl-accountingsolutions.com. I'm also on Facebook under KL Accounting Solutions, on LinkedIn, KL Accounting Solutions, and also on Instagram. And my email is kevin@klacctsolutions.com.
Great. Thank you so much, Kevin. And to all our members and those who are watching, I would like to once again encourage you to go onto our YouTube channel and subscribe. That's option number 1. And number 2, I would like to encourage you, if you can inbox us your email address and phone numbers, because what we are doing as well is before every broadcast, we're sending SMSs to remind people of the broadcast that is coming. This is because we've seen some of the algorithms are not sending people notifications when we go live, and then you don't get the opportunity to ask your question and engage live whilst the broadcast is going. Otherwise, it has been a pleasure. This has been a Home Care Business Advisors broadcast. Thank you, and bye-bye for now.